Hey everyone, can you hear me? If you do, let me know. I already got somebody who came on, and already Frank is already requesting stuff here. Oh boy, lots of pressure. Haven't really done a live stream for quite some time. I don't think I've done that for about over a week or so. General thoughts about the market. This is the S&P 500 index fund SPY. What do I think about the SPY? Well, I mean, I don't think it's too overextended on the monthly. It looks like it's not really over the upper Bollinger Band, unlike over here, where we just need some time to correct. We're also not too far away on the Ichimoku cloud. We're not too far away from the Tenkin anymore. Tenkin is rising service support, balanced out it beautifully on the monthly. And yeah, Frank, I'll get to your stuff. Don't worry. I just want to warm up here a little bit with the indexes, with the market overall, just kind of sharing my thoughts. V-shaped recovery, bounced right from the Tenkin and Kitchen, bounced back above. Very, very beautiful V-shaped recovery. I can't be bearish on the indexes right now, just looking at it. I mean, I just, like, it's not overextended. It's just like a beautiful bounce from, where it needed to bounce from. So yeah, I mean, like, do I think that things are a little bit overextended on a lower time frame? Maybe not. I think there's might still be some room to go, but there's a big move all the way from 511 all the way down up to like 560s. We haven't really had that higher low yet. I mean, I think this is a big move. Like, eventually, I think somebody's going to end up getting punished, like chasing it, but it might end up hitting higher to like the 560s, 570 even before really getting punished and coming back down. So I don't really know in terms of like what it's going to do in the short term for sure, but it does look like it probably wants to gravitate up towards the upper Bollinger Band before they punish a bunch of people. The QQQ on the monthly, Bollinger Band not too far overextended. This is a good thing. On the Ichimoku, on the monthly, bounced off a rising Tenkin, just like SPY did. SPY bounced off it perfectly. QQQ, the Nasdaq went down underneath a little bit and bounced up. Very nice demand wick from a hammer candle. Cannot talk today. Also have a little bit of V-shaped recovery, although it's not as drastic as the SPY. It's still a little bit underperforming, but that's okay. Balanced above both the Tenkin and Kitchen. You never really had a bearish cross over here on the weekly. And the IWM also bounced from where it needed to bounce from. Like, so far, again, this is the weekly chart, but you look at the monthly chart, it basically bounced from where it needed to bounce from, almost touched a cloud over here on the monthly, and it just bounced above a rising Tenkin off of a katana, which basically means you have a fusion of the Tenkin and Kitchen, basically saying that things have consolidated sideways for so long, and Tenkin equals Kitchen for a period of time, and then when it breaks out, generally the move is very, very powerful. I think that whenever things got down here, everybody was like, "Oh, you're calling for IWM going higher," and I was like, "Yeah, anything that's under 200 is going to be a good buying opportunity." That's what I said anyway, and did I really believe that? I guess I did. I did buy more TNA, which is the triple average IWM. I did end up buying more, and I actually ended up selling some S&P 500 BTF. I sold some SPY, and I ended up buying into like TNA. So yeah, I believed in it, and sure enough, I wasn't the only one because there's a huge demand wick over here, and right now you got a pretty nice hammer candle over here. On the weekly, things have bounced back above the Tenkin over here, and it's looking pretty nice. Again, SPY still outperforms, QQQ still outperforms the small caps so far, but I'm not sure if it's going to last for that long. The reason why I say that is if you look at Russell 2000 over SPX, and I have been following this chart for quite some time. And what I'm really seeing here, and I've taken the Ichimoku cloud, I'm really seeing here a little bit of a trend exhaustion. I'll show you what I mean by that. I've shown you this, like I've shown you this on video like many times, but a lot of people might not have grasped the concept. So a lot of people thought that the Russell 2000 and the small caps just going to always underperform the S&P 500. That's not always the case. It was outperforming like a beast all the way from like 1999 to the peak right here around 2011. So it outperformed for over a decade. And this outperformance was met with a pretty significant bearish divergence. I already drew that. I guess I don't need to anymore. So you can see this really nice bearish divergence where the Russell 2000, yes, it's still outperforming SPY a little bit, but it's basically looking like the uptrend is getting exhausted. And sure enough, like that's like the peak right there. Next thing you know, for the next decade and a half, the S&P 500 has outperformed the Russell 2000. So when Tom Lee said that the Russell 2000 might end up outperforming SPY or the large caps for years to come, there is some merit to that. I don't know whether or not he has his technicians to look at charts like these, but yeah, you have a bearish divergence that has gone on for what, like about 5 years, 6 years, somewhere around there, where the Russell 2000 just kept outperforming SPY, but it looks very exhausted, and the RSI just kind of went down, right? And the next thing you know, over here, you have the bullish divergence that's building up here, where the Russell 2000 over S&P 500 has been really underperforming for a long time. But the trend also looks a little bit exhausted. The reason why I say this is because RSI has been going up. Very similar over here with with bearish divergence or with bullish divergence. I really do think IWM is probably up doing pretty well over the years. I will talk about ARK right now. What do I think about ARK? I can't be that bearish on this candle. You know, I did a live stream with the Tesla tracker and the Great Matsby. Great Matsby has his own channel, TGM Trading. It's really good. He does GAN. He also used the Ichimoku Cloud. But I can't be bearish on a chart like this, where you have a downtrend followed by flattening of a 20-month moving average, followed by a rising 20-month moving average, followed by a big giant wick that tested all of demand underneath of it and bounced. Right now, it looks like a very, very nice dragonfly. But that's a very crazy bullish candle. And I also cannot really be that bearish on the Ichimoku because you did have a bullish cross over here. And right now, the dragonfly candle it's actually not quite over the Tenkan. I would like to see it close a month above it if it can. If it cannot, it's not the end of the world because the candle is still a very, very nice formation over here. So yeah, the end of the day bounce pretty strong, especially with the crypto assets. I think it's pretty nice. But yeah, like if you just look at the overall bull in Japan, I think that there's a lot of correlation. I think this look over here looks very, very similar to this look over here. And it's just been consolidating sideways. You have a little bit of Bollinger Band squeeze here. You have a little bit of a turn in the 20-month moving average going up. So I don't think it's going to make like a big giant move like it did over here, but it could potentially make a move like this over here, where there's a potential for ARK fund to like basically 2x over like the next 2 or 3 years. I think that's entirely possible. If it goes 2x, you're talking about like 100 or something like that. That's actually not a bad amount of gain. So I gotta say ARKG is still pretty much relatively disappointing. It did what it had to do. What I meant by that is it basically backtesting this negative trend line here. There are some pretty positive development here that's happening to ARKG, which is the RSI has been possibly sloping up for really about like 2.5 years now, all the way from like, well, I guess 2 years, all the way from June 2022 up to now. The RSI has really just been rolling up, right? And price has been steadily going down, but the downtrend has really looked very, very exhausted. So if you're looking at this chart right here, you're like, yeah, I think this actually is going to build up a lot of energy to kind of go up a lot higher whenever it does that. Now, I also like the fact that the 20-month moving average is starting to flatten here a little bit. Now, we're still underneath of it. I like to see it get back above backtest and go higher. I think we have a good chance of doing that because it's really starting to flatten. And all price has to do is just get close to the 20-month moving average to really kind of try and reclaim it. And it could go up a lot higher. Now, what I meant by bullish divergence is price kept on going down, but RSI kept rolling up, right? So this is a pretty classic bullish divergence. I already have a picture here for you to show you that. A couple other charts I want to show before I actually, yeah, a couple other charts I want to show. ARKG, let me see one thing. I want to look at the weekly actually. Haven't really had a chance. It's still underneath the Tenkan Nikkei, so maybe a little bit more cautious. But I like the fact that ARKG is really breaking back above the Tenkan. It's probably going to have a challenge in the cloud up here. It's probably going to end up getting rejected around like either around 27.7 or around like 29.4. It still got some resistance that it needs to work out. I don't think it's just going to push through. Probably going to get rejected in the cloud, and then maybe break inside the cloud sometime late in the year. And then maybe 2025 might be the time for it to shine. We'll see, right? Oil looks absolutely nasty. Oil just looks like a bad chart. It looks like a very much of a dead Cantonese bounce. Like, it looks like it wants to roll over. This kind of look is terrible. I tell you, like, you don't even really need to look at any other chart. Just look at the Bitcoin chart from like over here. That's what it looks like. It looks like the Bitcoin chart from like 2017 to 2018. That's what oil looks like to me right now. It just looks like a really bad dead cat bounce that wants to roll over. And yeah, I cannot be that bullish. Like right now, the only thing that's really holding oil together is really like the weekly low Bollinger Band. And if you look at the monthly chart, if you do the Bollinger Band, yeah, it probably has more room to go down. It probably has more room to go down. Ichimoku probably has more room to go down to like the mid 60s. I really like this. This really looks like a very bearish chart to me. So 2 week tells you the story right there. Broke down underneath the 2 week cloud, tried backtest, failed, backtest, failed, backtest, failed, and right now you're underneath. This looks like it wants to roll over. I was just at a gas station, and like it was some of the cheapest gas I've seen for quite some time. The US dollar looks the same. 2 week chart, broke into the cloud, bounced, rejected, bounced, rejected. Looks like it's rolling over. What do you think is going to happen to Bitcoin? I don't know. What about the 2-year yield? If you're into like the whole macroeconomics thing, if you're so inclined to look at those kinds of things, it looks like it's rolling over, doesn't it? It looked like it was rolling over for a long time ago. Like this really looked very weak. It made a little bit of like exhaustive push up, and right now it's just rolling over. It's probably going to get to like 2.5 or 3%. That's what's going to happen. Like rates going to drop. I don't care what Jerome Powell says. Like basically they're going to be data dependent. They're going to follow the real market conditions, and that's what the yields are telling you. Yields are telling you it's going to roll over. 10 years got a little bit more support here, so you might end up having the yield curve, the 2 actually dropping below 10 relatively soon. We have that happening briefly, but I think it's probably going to end up happening soon. Today, the 2-year really dropped below the 10. And you know why the dollar is looking weak? You know why oil is looking weak? The whole reason why is, there's increase in U.S. liquidity. This is the U.S. into money supply, so there's really nothing else to kind of say about it. Like this is what it is. It wants to keep going up. They want to turn the money printer on. The bottom of the U.S. liquidity was in October 2023. The top of the 2-year yield was in October 2023. The top of the U.S. 10-year yield is in October 2023, right? So none of this is coincidence. There's also a local top here for US dollar around October 2023. None of this is coincidence. They're going to print money, and cash is going to get diluted. I shouldn't be that absolute. Cash is probably going to get diluted like 99.9% of the time over time, right? With the exception of when they actually did quantitative tightening for like a very, very short period of time, But anyway, talk about some of your chart requests. TLT, yes. I mentioned that I thought TLT looked bullish, but it was hitting resistance, and sure enough, it was hitting resistance, right? There's nothing magical about it. Looking pretty nice on Bollinger Band. The reason why I say that is because it's really trying to flip the 20-month moving average from negative sloping to positive sloping, and right now we have reclaimed the 20-month so far. How can you be that bearish on yield? How can you be that bearish on the bond market when yields look like they're plummeting, right? So, but you are hitting some pretty strong resistance. This is a very strong resistance zone, so you're just probably gonna need some time to kind of get back above. One great thing about this chart is that on the monthly, the Tenkan is rolling up. You see how the Tenkan was just kind of downward sloping. It was flirting its resistance. Yeah, just kidding. Nope, not getting over it. Down. Yeah, okay, let's try and get through it. Nope, nope, still negative sloping, still negative sloping. Let's get back above it. Nope, still negative sloping. What's happening right now is possibly sloping. What's happening right now over here too? Well, the red line's getting a little bit closer. So I think the resistance level is going to be where it's right now. If it's able to get above like 98 to $100, the next resistance probably going to be right above is like 101.5. After that, that looks pretty juicy after that. But you're at resistance, so there's a possibility it gets rejected, coming back down to like the 90s. I mean, all these things are entirely possible. But it's looking much better. On the weekly, it has done something that it really hasn't done before for a very long time. It hasn't closed above the Ichimoku cloud on the weekly ever since October 2020. Well, with the exception of like one candle over here in November 2021. That besides that candle right there, like it works like how does that say? Like it works 50% of the time, it works 100%. Yeah. So you have a little bit of a close over there, but that is a little bit of a false breakout, obviously, right? It hasn't really closed back above, maybe for one candle here for years. And right now what happened? You have 3 consecutive candles that close above the weekly Ichimoku cloud, right? So you are really, and the cloud's also getting thinner. Like you're not having a lot of resistance here. You're actually entering some green clouds over here. There's a potential for TLT to run a lot higher, but it is hitting some resistance on the higher time frame. So we'll see what happens though, right? And so it also is having a hard time really trying to get up there because you have a big horizontal resistance zone over here. Plus, you're just starting to have a little bit of a weekly Bollinger Band expansion. It probably takes time. It probably takes at least another few weeks, maybe a little bit down before going up higher. That's kind of what I'm thinking. If you are asking about Bitcoin, man, you guys have a lot of requests. But let me look at, if you want to look at Bitcoin versus BITX, it's going to be a little bit rough to look at. Like if I look at the ratio chart, it's not going to show you anything. Like if I do like BitX over BTCUSD, it's not going to show you anything. It's like, okay, it was bullish, it gets really bullish. It was bearish, it gets really bearish. Like it doesn't really show you much. If I look at the BitX chart by itself, it is hitting some like important volume shelf down here, I suppose. There's just not enough history for you to like really extrapolate anything. This is a weekly chart, so it's just been on a short-term downtrend. On the monthly, I really don't have a trend to look at, so it's hard for me to really tell you too much about BitX. So you want to look at the like the daily chart. I suppose is at resistance. The thing is a little bit different between Bitcoin and BITX is like Bitcoin is back above resistance over here on the 20-day, So I don't know. And when Bitcoin goes up, like BitX is going to go a lot higher. So I don't really have like anything to say about. All I can say is like the price, the lower it gets, the better BitX is over long term. I don't know. It's not very helpful. I'm sorry, Brandon. And I'm sorry. I don't have a whole lot of smart things to say about that. SMOG. I do want to get to Frank's stuff here because he's the first one to come on, and I want to reward this by looking at this big, giant, crazy green candle over here. Yeah, this is, I don't know how to make sense out of this. Let me zoom out here, look at the weekly. Weekly also looks way far overextended. Like these moves are generally not sustainable. And on the monthly also looks like it just got rejected, right? Now, on the monthly chart, I'm going to go back to logarithmic scale here. On the monthly chart, I cannot be that bearish on this chart because the 20-month moving average is crawling up now. And this candle is really showing you that, hey, the trend may be changing here. This candle is a trend changing candle. And the month may only have another like week or so. So I think most likely it's going to end up closing about the 20-month moving average. I think it's probably going to do pretty well on a longer term trend. But would I buy this? I don't know. This is more or less like a higher low. And this is a lower low, so I'm still a little bit skeptical. Like, if you're buying something like this, I don't think it's a falling knife anymore, because the 20-move average is pulling up. I don't think it's a falling knife anymore, but I'm a little bit skeptical about getting in for long term. Even for short term, I think it might be overextended on multiple time frames, on the weekly, on the daily. But on the monthly, it's telling me on the medium term, it's probably going to end up doing pretty well. But yeah, those are just kind of my quick thoughts here. I am going to talk about a few requests. I'm going to go to the miners here, because there are always requests for miners. Apparently, I've looked at TWST before. I don't remember why I have an arrow right there. Oh, I got to say, I remember why. Because price broke above the 20-month moving average. This is why the 20-month moving average is very important. It shows you right here, right? It goes up, 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 came back down, broke down, plummeted, right? Came back up, back tested, broke through. It's a bull trend. Like, this is establishment of a bull trend right here. So that's why I think a 20-month moving average actually tells you a lot by just kind of looking and following what it's going to do. Look at Ichimoku, bullish cross, back tested a Tenkan, passed, right? Where's price going to go? Probably the cloud up here over the next, I'd say over the next 12 months or so, probably the cloud over here, depending on where it lands, maybe anywhere from like 80s to 70s, maybe even like the 60s. I don't know how, I don't exactly know like the exact trajectory path here, but short term though, underneath resistance. But this is a very nice higher low, so probably going to end up breaking through, breaking above. But from the monthly, I think on the next 12 months or so, it does look like it wants to gravitate towards the cloud, because of like higher high and higher low. So it looks like a pretty good chart. If you want to join members, you can. Yeah, you have to do it through. You can't do it on an iPhone. You have to do it either through like Chrome, or you have to do it on an Android, which is annoying. Like, the YouTube channels only allow a partial number of like YouTube channels to give you the join button for members for iPhone, which is annoying. Like, even Jesse, his account is like 3 times bigger than mine. Like, he doesn't have the Apple iOS join button either. So anyway, I digress. Let's talk about miners, because there have been some questions about it by Frank. And I'm going to go a little bit off order here. I usually talk about CleanSpark right off the bat, but I'm going to talk about WULF here. How can I be bearish on WULF? Bullish cross, back test of this volume shelf over here, passed, came up with this big giant hammer candle. Looking at the weekly, reclaimed the Tenkan. It simply got rejected right off of the 0.136. It got way overextended. I'll show you how overextended it was on a weekly here on the Bollinger Band. Like, how many weeks did it close outside of a Bollinger Band? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6 maybe. If you buy up here, I think you're asking for short-term punishment. But you're probably looking for like long-term gain, because I do think that this Fibonacci level is probably going to get pushed through. This V-shaped recovery means something. And it simply just kind of came back down and back test like the boring support band, passed. Initially, I thought they was come back down all the way to the cloud. It didn't really end up doing that. Yeah, just found support of volume shelf, found support of horizontal zone right here, around 2.7, 2.8. Bounds very strong. It's a bullish chart. Form a higher low. Probably going to go back to challenge the 0.136 again and see how it reacts. And we'll figure out when it gets there. But if Bitcoin decides to beast, then yeah, it could pass by that like it's nothing and just go up to the next level, which is around $11. But I have a position. My average is probably somewhere around here. I'm just holding. I don't care. Whatever it wants to do, it does what it wants to do. The other charts, you want to talk about Mara. Mara is it broke down underneath the Ichimoku cloud. Initially, I was a little bit more skeptical of it having a hard time kind of break above. First of all, I want to just show you like this pitchfork so far has worked pretty well. And it bounced where it needed to bounce from. And I just was initially a little bit skeptical because it opened the week kind of underneath this diagonal line over here. And I was like, yeah, it's resistance. And I broke above resistance here. Where's it going to gravitate to? Probably going to gravitate to like 20 bucks. Why did I say that? Well, that's where the bottom of the cloud is, you know? Like it's kind of like a no-brainer. Like you see confluences like that, you just think, oh, that's probably going to be the next target. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. On the Bollinger Band, yeah, probably wants to gravitate back up to like the 20-week moving average just to close around like 1920. So to me, I just see that as a strong possibility. If you look at the Tsubi Cloud, which I think tells a much better story for Mara, what it really has been doing is just try to break in through the cloud, got rejected. But through the cloud here, backtest, backtest here on the bottom of the cloud, so far finding support. This is like critical support here. Like if it breaks down, I really do worry, But even if it breaks down, I suppose it's still a little bit of a higher low compared to this one. But I would be a little bit more worried, So the way I see it is that I do think that what Mara is doing is just simply bouncing between these different Fibonacci levels, between like the 0.382, which is when it got way overextended, and the 0.136, with the 0.236 here as an intermediary. And these Fibonacci levels are drawn for the most part from like the cycle high to the cycle low. I guess it's a little bit off. Sorry, I think I moved it a little bit. But anyway, you get the idea. Bounce from Fibonacci level. This is a range. It hit the bottom of the range. So found support. So naturally it's going to end up gravitating back towards the higher part of the range, right? But yeah, I think it's probably going to hit resistance around 20, but naturally it probably end up hitting like 22 eventually. And we'll see how it reacts over there, see what Bitcoin does. I am not bearish on this chart because it just looks like a big giant channel going up still. And it just looks like it's just range bound sideways. There's just a lot of confluence over here, so I'm not that bearish on Mara. I still have a pretty decent sized position, and I'm just going to keep holding and see what happens. Let's see. You asked about HIVE too. HIVE is okay. I know HIVE is okay. I don't hate this chart, but it's not one of the more bullish charts. I think HIVE kind of reminds me a little bit of Riot. For some reason, it just underperforms. But over the last few weeks, it's been doing better than Riot. I think HIVE is trying to get above the 0.136 here and is having a hard time doing it. But if you look at the smaller time frame stuff, they still got some resistance underneath, right? I think we're kind of getting close to resistance here, even though price went from like 2.2 all the way to like 3.3. You're still snagging some resistance that's coming up pretty soon, like around 3.4. And above that, you're gonna have some pretty strong resistance here around $4. So I don't know. I guess like what Matsby says, be cautious at resistance. If it breaks through, great. I can totally see it breaking through here and then just kind of bounce back and back test the Tenkan Kijun and then go push into the cloud. But you might still have like a little bit of stuff to kind of work on here. So again, ultimately it depends what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin ends up like just making all-time high, yeah, you're going back to this Fibonacci level around $5 in a hurry, right? And you'll see how it reacts, right? But that's kind of what I'm seeing with HIVE. I'm not that bullish on HIVE on a higher time frame, because actually, I take that back. The 20-month moving average is curling up. We're currently underneath the 20 though, correct? And it is squeezing. So this is not a bad looking chart. This actually looks better than Riot. I actually thought that this looked exactly the same as Riot, but that actually looks better than Riot. You have a rising 20 and you're trying to reclaim it. You have a big giant demand candle here. So I'm not that bearish on it. I just don't think it's like one of the more bullish charts for miners. Somebody mentioned about CLSK. I mean, I just think that it's just getting close to the rising 20, bounced. It had a pretty good reaction today. And the reason why, it's always a smart idea to consider if you really want to get in clean spark. And if you're like, yeah, I know Cantonese cat is wrong, it's going lower, it's going lower. Well, how low do you want it to get? I mean, like maybe I was wrong here. It's like bottom range is range bound. Bottom around a broad range, broke down the range. Oops, came on down here. Went way underneath the weekly Bollinger Band. And the next candle also closed like way underneath the low Bollinger Band. And you have having a candle that's closing back inside, right? So like this is a great risk reward ratio. Like, does it mean that it's going to go down further? Is it just waiting for the Bollinger Band to expand before price goes down lower? I don't know. I don't know. Do I think that's the case? Of course I don't. Of course I don't think that's the case. There are a lot of things that tells me that that shouldn't be. Now, you do have to be a little bit cautious here because it kind of break down underneath the weekly Ichimoku and break down underneath the Super Ichi here. So it's a pretty brutal move. But if you look at overall market symmetry, if you just look at overall market symmetry, which is very, very important to look at, like ignore a lot of things, just look at two things, look at volume shelf and look at market structure. This market structure looks like like what CleanSpark does is on the way down, it breaks multiple fit level, back test multiple fit level, went down multiple fit level, back test a fit level, going down, right? It's reversing the trend, going up, rejected, down, up, push through, rejected, bounce, push through two levels, went up here, got rejected, tried to hang on the 0.382, unable to, came back down. Where did it bounce from? 0.236. Where did it bounce from? At this volume shelf over here. Where is it going to go? Probably going back to like 15, 16. I still see that happening. And this over here, if it was so bearish, why didn't price continue to go down, right? You got a little bit of a gap here to fill. You got a little bit of like an island over here. Some people would call that a bear flag, but a lot of bear flags actually don't work out. Like this is a bear flag right here. This is a bear flag right here. Like this is a bear flag right here. A lot of bear flags don't work out. That's all I gotta say about bear flags. But yeah, on the higher time frame on the Bollinger Band, like I can't be that bearish on this chart, man. The Ichimoku is unfortunate. I was hoping that would stay above a rising Tenkan. Didn't end up doing that. Coming back and back testing 0.3236. So yeah, decided I want to form a higher low compared to overall bull trend. And it's not even touching this trend line over here. This is a pretty bullish chart overall. I just, it's just been, unfortunately, in short term, it's just not worked out. But this is still a very high time frame, a very, very bullish chart for CleanSpark. So yeah, went through a lot of the miners. You want to talk about Bitfarms maybe while we're at it. I also think that Bitfarm is just basically forming a channel up here on this whole pitchfork here, right? Things got a little bit bearish because they're supposed to have some acquisition, and of course there's some fear for dilution. But reality is it's just hit the 0.236 Fibonacci level of 2.49, got rejected. Also hit this diagonal line over here on the pitchfork, got rejected, came back down, found support during the day when Bitcoin pumped, right? So actually I'm closing the day positive. I don't have anything bearish to say about this chart. I think Mars probably gonna end up following Bitfarm's footsteps. It's probably gonna end up hitting the diagonal line over here, and then maybe Fruit Time is gonna end up hitting the 0.236 up above. But Bitfarm looks like it might be even a little bit ahead, despite of a relatively bearish day today compared to the other stuff. Yes, CIFR. I'll finish up with CIFR and Irene. I still have a hard time. As I was saying, I don't think bear flags necessarily have to work out. It is a little bit underneath this, strong volume shelf resistance here. But overall, this still looks like a pretty bullish structure. It still looks like overall this is still like a little bit of a higher low after a higher high. I'm not bearish on CIFR. Like on the higher time frame, I would like to see it break the 5 and 5.5 for good, but I'm not bearish on this chart, guys. I mean, bullish cross. I think the month's probably going to end up closing about the kitchen over here. I think price going to end up closing about 4.19 by the end of the month is my guess. And the biggest thing is the monthly, the Bollinger Band, but with the 20-month moving average just crawling up, this is not a bearish look. I have a position. I'm happy to be in it. I still think anything under $5 is still probably going to be a pretty decent buy here. But yeah, I'm not bearish on it. I'm pretty happy where it's at right now. Is it meeting expectations? Oh, nice. Low gains, you did it. Welcome to the membership. Congratulations as a member. Let me see here. TSWT. I'll do a few more chart requests, and I'm probably going to call it a night. TSW. Did I do this already? I think I did, didn't I? Yeah, I already did that. What? Oh, SMOG. What is SMOG? Low carbon energy ETF. You know what I think about this chart? I think it's forming a base behavior. I'm not convinced yet. I'd like to see it challenge the 20-month moving average a little bit more. But I think it's getting close. But there's no guarantee. It is reclaiming the monthly Tenkan here beautifully, which means that I think that the 20-month moving average is probably going to flatten, and you're probably going to hit up like that. I'm just guessing, right? I'm just guessing. You're probably going to end up hitting maybe 105, 107, 108 range. Got rejected again, and then somehow reclaim it back, and then try to, claim the cloud up here. Ultimately, it's going to be like 122 seems to be where the price wants to gravitate by the end of 2025. That's what it looks like to me. I don't think it's going to end up just shooting above the cloud. Like, that's not how it works, right? But I can see that it's taking its process. It's trying to turn a 20-month moving average flat. It still needs to reclaim it. It's trying to turn the Tenkan from resistance to support. It's still got a couple of resistance up here. It can probably take another 12 months, maybe a little bit longer, to get to the cloud, see how it reacts, maybe even break into the cloud, back test the cloud, go up higher, or just get rejected, back test some support over here, and then try to find a point of vulnerability over here and break through. I don't think it's ready for like a big move, but I think it's forming a pretty decent base. That's my thought on that. Now let's look at the weekly. The weekly tells you the same thing. You're at resistance here at the Ichimoku cloud, and you really haven't had a true breakout about the Ichimoku cloud since like November 2021, right? But again, I think it's forming a very, very good base, but you're probably going to end up hitting a lot of resistance over here, right? Like, you're going to have you're at strong resistance right now, it's trying to break through, but you're also going to have some pretty strong resistance around like 111, 100, 110, somewhere around there, right? So, it's not a bearish chart. I just think this price is going to take some time, that's all. Nothing wrong with it, but yeah. IOVA, low gain member. I should take my members as a priority here. This is a very interesting chart. Broke down underneath the cloud in April 2021. Haven't looked at the cloud since until May of 2023. Backtested the cloud, rejected, went back down. Trying to reclaim the cloud earlier this year, broke through, right? And went way too far, way too fast, had to come back and correct, where did it end up grabbing back towards the weekly Ichimoku cloud. And it bounced, and right now it's still inside the cloud, inside the green cloud. It's like probably right at the cloud resistance over here around like 11.8. Yeah, right at resistance 11.8. Got some resistance around 12.74. But overall, the structure is higher high and higher low. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, like maybe it doesn't form a higher high here, but overall structure looks pretty good. Let's take a look. Let's zoom out here a little bit. I would like for the monthly to really truly reclaim the Tenkan, which is around $12. Right now, it's still a little bit of resistance, but you have a bullish cross. It doesn't look bad. It doesn't look too bad. The bull in Japan also tells your story too, because it gives you the 20. I love the 20-month moving average. I just love it. This tells you a whole story here too, where price just went way too far, way too fast outside of monthly bull in Japan. You bought it here. Oops, not ready yet. Bam, bam, bam. 4 candles in a row. Came back where it came back to, a flattening 20-month moving average. What happened over the last 2 months? Bounced from it, back test, and had a pretty nice bounce from it, right? let me look at the volume. Yeah, this actually is a really good setup because you have big volume buy and declining volume here for like 4 months in a row. It took 4 months to erase a month of price action. So, and it hit some pretty important support level. This is when you know, and not financial advice, but this is when you know like this might be a pretty decent spot to buy here. Of course, price go down a lot lower, but risk reward wise speaking, pretty good, right? Right now, not as good as down here, of course, but I think price probably going to get gravitate back towards the upper Bollinger Band over here. But yeah, you're having a little bit of resistance here. Where's price going to go? Maybe over the next 12 months or so, probably bottom of the cloud. You'd probably be the high teens. You probably end up trying to hit this resistance levels here. You got this resistance level over here. It's got a long history, right? Resistance, support, resistance, resistance. You got a long history here, so you probably end up having a hard time breaking above like $18. And that also over the next 12 months also coincides with the cloud, right? But it's probably going to try to break through the cloud. I mean, this looks like a pretty nice setup here for the longer term, right? So, but it still probably requires a little bit of patience. I don't think it's going to break through 18 and 20 right away. I think it's probably going to take months and months and months of work to get there. That's my thought process. So I did that. So your TA plays out thus far since $7 or $8. That's amazing. Your cost average is your cost average is right here. So if or right here, so you bought at the right spot. Like you basically you cannot really have that bad of a risk. It's still risky, right? I mean, it can break through underneath, but you cannot have that bad of a risk if the 20-moving average is trying to curl up and you buy right around there. It could always go down further, right? But it looks like it's really trying to flatten. It looks like it's really trying to have like a trend change, right? So that actually is a pretty good spot to buy. So congrats, low gains. I suppose it's not low gains anymore. It's like a 50% up from where you bought. So looking through the requests, I have a couple more here. I actually only just have one more. Why don't I do Celsius and then I'll call it a night? Yeah? Deal? Deal. I don't know about whether or not I want to enter Celsius. The reason why I say that, I'm going to take away this indicator here. The reason why I say that is I don't have to even look at the RSI to know that you have a bearish divergence. And when I pull up the RSI, yeah, I see a bearish divergence. But I also see some hidden bullish divergence too. I don't know about this chart. It looks like it's a little bit exhaustive. The reason why I say this is because price went up, but the RSI just kept on, going down. So it's a pretty like exhaustive kind of move. But the benefit of this stock is that RSI has kind of hit some pretty lows over here in like the 40s. Can it go down further though? There's always that possibility it goes down further, right? Because this does look a little bit like a exhaustive top, but I don't think it has to, because it is at some pretty strong horizontal support zone over here. Like basically it's just yin yang over here. Like this is the yin, this is the yang, and you're hitting this horizontal support over here, and you're also seeing the let me see here. Yeah, I see some like hidden bullish divergence here where price did go up and you did end up having a little bit of a cool off of RSI. So, but this is still a pretty significant bearish divergence. Let me look at a higher time frame here, and I can still pick up this bearish divergence. Like on a 2-month chart, on a 3-month chart, I can pick up a bearish divergence. It could go up higher though on bearish divergence. Is simply kind of backtesting this horizontal zone over here. So I cannot really be that bearish on this chart. But there are a couple of things that are kind of like telling me, I don't know, it's underneath the 20-month moving average. It's not the end all be all, but whenever it drops underneath the 20-month moving average, it doesn't just like moon, right? It ends up just kind of going sideways over here, eventually reclaiming to go up higher. That's great, right? Or if it breaks down underneath the 20-month moving average and goes sideways here for like a whole year, trying to figure its own thing, come back test and run, right? So it did lose the 20 here a little bit. Could it be a little bit of false breakdown like it was over here? Could it be a false breakdown like it was over here? Or could it be like a longer sideways kind of over here, longer sideways kind of over here? I do not know. There's like a lot of ambiguity when it comes to this chart. So if you also look at a monthly too, like what if it wants to draw all the way down to the monthly cloud to like 25 bucks, right? It doesn't have to, right? But you have to understand the risk level, because you do have some bearish diversions, and right now price is kind of in space, right? Your resistance above, your support below, right? On the 2-week chart, it tells you a little bit of a different story. On the 2-week chart, you have a little bit of a bearish cross over here, but you're also finding some support here at the bottom of the cloud. So on the 2-week chart, I'm not too bearish. On the weekly chart, it's broken underneath, right? So it depends on what time frame you're looking at, and it depends on what your risk tolerance is. I would say that, to me, I can still see that being a possibility. But if the overall market goes up, I have a hard time really seeing it hitting 25. So I can see it finding support where it is right now because of the horizontal zone right here. And I can see it finding support because that's where the 2-week cloud is located. And I can see it finding support where it is because you do have a lot of this, hidden bullish diversions that's building up. But the overall higher time frame trend is, starting to show some exhaustion. So I'm just a little bit worried. And also I don't like the fact that it's underneath the 20-month moving average. So I would probably end up staying away from it. But, if you like the fundamentals, because I understand there's actually like pretty good fundamentals for this company, like they know what they're doing. But no gains, no problem. Thanks for joining. Yeah. So Sanjay, it might not be what you want to hear, and I might be wrong, and I would be very happy if I'm wrong, but I just don't know about this right now. And don't make me lose you money if you see something that you want, and don't let me stop you from doing it. I'm just showing charts, right? I don't follow Celsius like a hawk. Or a cat. I just looked at it just now, and those are just my quick thoughts. Uni, I like Uni. This is my first time charting it, but just looking at the Bollinger Band, like how can you not like it? Increased volume up, decreased volume down. You got a very nice hammer candle, got close to a rising 20-month moving average. I'm not disliking it so far. Look at a monthly, like where's there to dislike? Came over here. Yeah, Sanjay, I know what you mean. Yeah, came back down like on the monthly chart. Went into the cloud, broke through back above the cloud, came back tested the Tenkan. So far passing, right? Higher highs for the most part, higher low, right? Higher high compared to here, higher low compared to here, right? Could it go back down a little bit further and like back test some of the cloud here and again? Could be, but it doesn't look like it wanted to. Like the volumes seem pretty, like the selling volumes seem pretty non-committal, So I'm not really picking up any like bad bearish diversions or anything like that. So pretty good looking chart actually. I like it. It looks like it back tests like this level over here, bounced, right? And then also back tests this level over here, which also goes back over here too, right? This level over here has been going on for a very long time. Back test, pass, back test, pass. Where's it going to go up next? Probably up. That's I don't have anything else to say. As far as like how high is going to go, well, let's look at the Bollinger Band. Probably going to wait for the Bollinger Band to expand. You have some moves out here that want to go higher, but the Bollinger Band is stopping it from doing so. So probably just need some time for it to get there. But I think it's going to ride up along with the Bollinger Band expansion. It's probably going to go higher over time. I can see it going higher maybe over the next 12 months or so. I don't know. I can't see beyond that, but that's kind of what I'm seeing. Ichimoku looks nice. Weekly Ichimoku. Yeah, short term stuck in a range, so you might have a little bit time to kind of buy. This looked like a bear flag, but you remember what I was telling you about bear flags. They don't always work out. Every single time my price goes a lot higher, there's always a bear flag. So I don't, whatever. But yeah, short term still a little bit stuck, so you might need some like engine oiling to kind of get it going. But longer term looks great. That's what I see about That's what I see about that. Uniswap. Okay. I was talking about this whole thing, and I didn't see what you guys are talking about. Why are you guys looking at Uniswap? Let's see. I see why. This chart actually looked very similar to ETF stock. This is actually, okay. Let's put up some indicators here just to kind of show you 20-month moving average. This looks a lot like the other crypto. A lot of crypto is actually reclaiming like the 20-month moving average is crawling up and is back testing it and is finding support. Uniswap looks very similar. And you are having a big giant wick demand candle over here. I know, like, I don't know, like, why I spent like 5 minutes talking about Uni. Like, what the hell is Uni? Anyway. 20-month moving average crawling up, finding support, right? Let's look at the other indicators. What other indicators are we going to look at? Ichimoku, still way underneath of it. Looking at weekly, still underneath the weekly, right? Not looking great here on the Ichimoku, but that's how actually a lot of altcoins are looking right now. Underneath the bull market support band, underneath the Sabichi cloud. Let's look at the 2-week. On the 2-week here, Ichimoku cloud, it looks like it's just bounced from like the bottom of Ichimoku cloud from one bottom to another. Looks like finding support. You're going to probably end up having some resistance up here around 8.3 and some resistance up here around 10.4. But the 2-week chart actually tells you, like, you know, these stocks are not that bearish underneath the Sabichi cloud though. But it looks like it's a very, very nice bounce from the bottom of the 2-week Ichimoku cloud, doesn't it? Forming like a little bit of ABC. After wave 1, this is probably wave 2, wave 3. I don't know. I mean, that's, yeah, I'm just making stuff up. So don't listen to me, not financial advice. 20-month moving average, again, is promising. I like this about the altcoin market because if you just look at the others chart, is basically showing you the same thing. Like it's others basically is like the cryptocurrency market, excluding top 10, right? So these are really all the altcoins, and basically they're doing the same thing. Went way too hot, hit a wave 1 over here. What happened? Wave 2, brutal wave 2. Where did they end up back testing? The 20-month moving average is rising up. Uniswap is not doing anything different. Uniswap is just basically behaving like an altcoin. I don't have anything bad to say about it. It doesn't look as hot on the Ichimoku, but that's okay. Very, very nice dragonfly candle over here so far. So all it means is you probably just need some time to kind of break above these resistance to go higher. And you might still lag, you know, behind Bitcoin by maybe like a month or two, maybe. But sometimes all it takes is just, you know, like a month or two before like a big giant breakout candle happens, right? So yeah, I have a hard time seeing it just shoot up right there. Probably consolidate sideways here for a couple of months before going up and challenge maybe the top Ichimoku cloud up here around like 11 to 14, so around there is what I'm thinking. But yeah, not ready yet, but probably not a bad spot to accumulate right now is my best guess. Yeah, we just talked about Tracker's talking about EOSE. And this is like Tracker's like one of his favorite stocks. I'm not bearish on it. Like how can it be bearish on it? It's just range bound. It's still reclaiming the Tenkan. Went up here, back testing it on the 2-week chart here. And, you know, 2-week chart looks good. Monthly chart looks good. 3 nice green candle, a very nice hammer. You're going to end up hitting some resistance around like, you know, 3.1, somewhere around there. Let's see if the weekly chart tells you the same thing, 3.1, 3.2. You're going to end up having some resistance there. If you were to buy over here, when things just like broke into the cloud and you're like, oh, it's going to go a lot higher. Nah, it's going to go a lot lower, find support and go up higher. So buying here is probably smart, right? Because you have the Tenkan and Kitchen right here on the weekly. You also had the bull support band right down here too. So like buying this candle over here probably like was a pretty smart idea because it does look like you have a very nice escape velocity move over here, get into the cloud on high volume, and it's just needed to cool back. How far does it cool back? Nobody knows. Tenkan Kitchen, bull support band. These are generally some pretty decent buy areas. Yeah, so it looks like it bounced from some of these support levels, breaking out inside the cloud here again. it's a pretty important horizontal level, I suppose. So maybe it's finding a little bit of resistance here, but probably going to end up grabbing to like 3.1, 3.2. That's my short-term ties target. Probably going to have to reject it there, and then wait for some of the other indicators to come and catch up to kind of push it through the cloud. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Or it ends up breaking through the cloud in high volume and then backtest the cloud, go higher. That's also another possible path. But yeah, not a bearish chart that I'm looking at here on the weekly. I always like to look at the monthly Bollinger Band, and I cannot be bearish on this anymore because of a rise in 20 and a nice back test. I can't really be that bearish anymore. So after it breaks through 3.1, it depends on where the upper Bollinger Band is going to be. I don't think it's unreasonable to think like $6, but I always think that these analysts are just like coming over the number out there under the buttholes. So yeah, nice hammer. But some people don't like hammer tops though, right? I never get scared about hammer tops because hammer tops don't always work out. Like most of the time they don't. If this is like a what do you call that? If this is like a shooting star where there's a big giant wick above, I might be a little bit worried. But hey, nice back test. So far, so good. What can I say? I think we are. Yeah. Yeah, nice 3 white soldiers. Generally 3 white soldiers, I like to see like the candles kind of really getting without any like wick underneath over here. That would be like a proper 3 white soldiers. Like this over here is like a free proper 3 black crows. I don't know why they all like either white or black. But anyway, not the most beautiful 3 white soldiers, but I can see what you're talking about. I mean, the trend's up, Yeah, so with a big Thor hammer. All right, guys, I'm out. Take care. I just wanted to get into groove, and I think I fulfilled all of your requests. Hey, Vantage, thank you for your support. I want to thank you all for sticking up with me. I'm going to try and do the best I can and get back to my tip-top shape here, guys. You all have a wonderful night. Take care.